tonight on First at 9. This Friday, the 25th of October 2024. Revealing the truth. Detention orders obtained to interrogate suspects arrested over the alleged planned attacks on Israeli nationals visiting Sri Lanka. Security beefed up across key tourist areas. President assures Colombo-based diplomats. Long way to go. The IMF, hopeful of moving fast towards the third review, says the Sri Lankan government is committed to build on the hard-won gains. Campaign financing. Election expenditure reports of presidential poll candidates published. Sajid tops with the highest spending during campaigning. Long awaited LPT Pradesh Sabha poll to commence tomorrow.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
This is Derana First at 9 with Indivadi Amawata. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
And a very warm welcome. You're joining us here on First at 9 here at Derana 24, and we take you straight to your top stories making headlines across Sri Lanka and around the world tonight. President Anura Dissanayake assured Colombo-based diplomats of strengthened security across Sri Lanka and observed that measures are in place to ensure security for both tourists and residents. He further assured that special security protocols are in place in tourist destinations in Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, police obtained detention orders to question the 3 suspects arrested in question with the alleged planned attacks on Israeli nationals visiting Sri Lanka.
As a part of the measures taken by law enforcement authorities to investigate a planned attack on Israeli nationals in Colombo and popular Sri Lankan tourist areas including Arugambe, Alla and Waligama, 3 suspects were arrested by the Terrorist Investigation Division in connection with alleged security threats to Israeli nationals and were subjected to interrogation. Later, police obtained detention orders under the Prevention of Terrorism Act to further question the 3 suspects. We are yet to assess whether this is a terrorist attack. Not only in Sri Lanka, there is a possibility that Israeli nationals residing across the world could be subjected to threats. It was revealed that the attack was aimed at Israeli nationals. We cannot confirm that an attack could have taken place. However, it is clear that they planned one. Against this backdrop, the Sri Lanka Tourism Development Authority assured that the island nation is safe for foreigners.
සියලුම ප්‍රදේශවල ආරක්ෂාව තහවුරු වෙන්න ඒ ආරක්ෂකංශ වගේම සංචාරක පොලිසිය ඉතාමත්ම
Steps have been taken by the security officials and the tourist police to tighten the security. We were informed by hotels that tourists are enjoying their holidays happily. We request everyone to contribute to supporting the tourist industry.
මේ සංචාරක කර්මාන්තේ ප්‍රතිලාභ නෙලා ගන්න ඔබගේ දායකත්වය වටිනා විදිහට මේ අවස්ථාවේ ලබා දෙන්න.
Meanwhile, the regional correspondent of Derana confirmed that the situation in Arugambe remained calm and tourists were seen enjoying the beach as usual. In the meantime, President Anura Dissanayake held discussions with South African High Commissioner in Colombo, New Zealand High Commissioner David Pine, Iranian Ambassador to Sri Lanka Dr. Alireza Delkosh, and Ambassador to the European Union Carmen Moreno at the Presidential Secretariat today. During the meetings, President Dissanayake briefed them on Sri Lanka's current security situation, emphasizing the recent measures taken to enhance safety for both tourists and residents. He assured that these efforts in response to recent travel advisories have led to strengthened security protocols across key tourist areas.
Horizon Campus 2024 Intake 2. Register now.
පිරිපුන් ජීවිතයකට ඔබ සමගින් පෙරට Union Assurance.
Welcome to Cinnamon Life, South Asia's biggest entertainment hub, where awe awaits.
කාගෙත් ප්‍රියතම මෙලිබන් බිස්කට් දැන් 30ක් සීනි අඩුවෙන්. රස දන්න කාටත්
Harisho.
Sadaharita Plantations Limited, celebrating 22 years of your trust.
Director of the Asia Pacific Department of the International Monetary Fund, Krishna Srinivasan, is of the view that Sri Lanka has made significant progress in implementing economic reforms, positioning itself to advance quickly towards the third review of the Extended Fund Facility Program, which is a approaching rapidly. Addressing a media briefing at the IMF headquarters, Srinivasan, who held discussions with the newly appointed Sri Lankan government in Colombo earlier this month, highlighted that the government had expressed commitment to safeguard and build on the hard-won gains under the EFF program approved for the island nation.
When the new government took office not too long ago, I led a high-level team to Colombo to engage with the authorities. And we had some very, very productive discussions with the new government and the team there. And the discussions are continuing this week during the annual meetings. There was broad consensus, I would say unanimous consensus, that Sri Lanka, which was staring at the abyss in 2022, has come a long way in terms of undertaking reforms which have led to some hard-won gains. As you can know, you'll note that growth has been positive the last 4 quarters, inflation is coming down. So there was consensus that the new government, that they would like to safeguard and build on the hard-won gains under the program. Under the program, we have elements which address some of the priorities of the new government, including in terms of social protection and so on. But the details on the program are continuing, and they'll be happening this week in Washington. And we are encouraged by what we've heard so far, hoping that we can move fast towards the third review, which will come up soon. In terms of the debt restructuring, they have reached agreements with the official creditors, and they've reached an agreement in principle with the private creditors. The next step would be to reach a formal agreement with all creditors, and that's a big step forward. And of course, that's not the end. There's a lot more work to be done in terms of continuing with the reforms, because a long way to go before you're on a path of strong and sustainable recovery. In terms of the macro-linked bonds, this is something which is a negotiation between the country's creditors, the country's advisors, and the creditors. We don't get involved in the kind of instruments that they negotiate on and so on and so forth. What we are concerned about is whether these instruments and the restructuring they reach are, one, they're consistent with our program targets on debt and so on, and that there's comparability of treatment across creditors. So that's something which the country works on.
According to the election expenditure report submitted to the Election Commission in accordance with the regulation of Election Expenditure Act, the presidential candidate of the Samagi Janabalawegaya during the recently concluded presidential election, Sajith Premadasa, had incurred the highest amount of expenses during the recent election campaign. Premadasa had spent over 1.12 billion rupees on his presidential campaign.
As per the provisions of Regulation of Election Expenditure Act, candidates contesting a presidential election must submit a campaign expenditure report to the Election Commission within 21 days of the poll. During the last presidential election, candidates were permitted to spend a sum of 109 rupees per voter during their campaigns. Thereby, the maximum a candidate and their political party were allowed to spend was 1,868,298,586 rupees. According to the Election Commission, 35 of the 38 candidates who contested the 2024 presidential election have submitted their expenditure reports. The respective expenditure reports are displayed at the Election Commission Secretariat in Rajagiriya and all district election offices across the island. The presidential candidate who spent the most during their campaign for the 2024 presidential election was Sajith Premadasa of Samagi Janabalawegaya, who spent over 1.12 billion rupees in total. Premadasa spent 936,258,524 rupees individually, while the SJB contributed 194,087,715.04 cents. The second highest spender in the election was independent candidate former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, who spent 990,327,687.16 cents, which also makes him the highest spender among independent candidates. The candidate of the National People's Power, President Anurakumara Dissanayake, who won this year's presidential election, spent over 520 million rupees. Dissanayake spent 68,066 rupees and 36 cents individually, while the NPP contributed 527,999,889 rupees and 38 cents. Further, the NPP and the JP received a total of 535 million rupees as foreign financial aid. The amount of funds spent by Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna candidate Nama Rajapaksa, who was placed fourth in the election, was over 380 million rupees. Rajapaksa spent 20,000 rupees individually for communication costs, while his party contributed 388.9 million rupees. Meanwhile, Dilip Jayavira, who contested from the Sri Lanka Communist Party, spent a total of 324.6 million rupees. His party did not contribute any funds, and he had individually provided all of his funds.
Sri Lanka decides 2024.
Fast track your career from O-levels with eSoft.
කාගෙත් ප්‍රියතම මෙලිබන් බිස්කට් දැන් 30ක් සීනි අඩුවෙන්. රස දන්න කාටත්
හරිෂෝ.
දරුවන් ගැන ඒ තරම්ම හිතන නිසයි ලංකාවේ අම්මලා විශ්වාසයෙන් මෙලිබන් කිරිම දෙන්නේ.
After O-levels, start your Australian university degree in just 8 months with ACBT's Foundation Program. Enrollments close on 21st October. Call 071 115 1234 for Colombo or 077 011 3223 for Kandy.
Taking you to the latest in the run-up to the parliamentary polls, leader of the Samagi Jana Balawegya, Sajith Premadasa, vows that the government that his party plans to form will renegotiate Sri Lanka's agreement with the International Monetary Fund and reduce direct taxes. Addressing a meeting in Colombo, Premadasa invited those who voted for former President Ranil Wickremesinghe during the last presidential election to join the SJB and help them secure a majority in parliament.
A public meeting of the Samagi Jana Balawegya aimed at the upcoming general election was held yesterday in central Colombo under the patronage of the party's leader Sajith Premadasa.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ අපි 113ක් ගන්න පුළුවන් නම් අපිට පුළුවන් අගමැතිවරයා තෝරන්න.
If we have the ability to secure 113 seats in parliament, we also have the opportunity to choose the prime minister. Judging by the votes secured by the incumbent president, he can only secure 105 seats in parliament. Opposition parties will secure the remaining 120 seats. In this general election, if we exercise our franchise wisely, Sajith Premadasa will be the prime minister with the support of the majority of parliamentarians in the opposition.
කරන්න පුළුවන් කියන එක තමුන්නාන්තලා උඩට මතක තියාගන්න.
මම ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා සියලුම එක්සත් ජාතික පාක්ෂිකයන් ඒ වගේම ගෑස් සිලින්ඩරයට ඡන්දය ලබා දුන්න සියලුම දෙනා.
I remind all supporters of the United National Party and those who voted for the symbol gas cylinder that our party is ready to welcome you. The representative you voted for has abandoned you by not contesting the election. There are even queues for coconuts and prices of goods have increased. This is a government that cannot keep its promises of providing subsidies, let alone reduce the tax burden by negotiating with the International Monetary Fund. When we form our government on the 14th of November, we will be ready to negotiate a new agreement with the International Monetary Fund to reduce direct taxes. I would like to say that we have already held discussions with the IMF in this regard.
IMF එකත් එක්ක මේ වන විටත් කතා කරලා හමාරයි කියන එක මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ කියන්න කැමතියි.
Leader of the Sarvajana Balaya, Dilip Jayavira, claims his alliance comprises intelligent, creative and rational individuals who are ready to assume the role of the opposition in the next parliament. Jayavira also highlighted that his alliance, the Sarvajana Balaya, is providing opportunities for representatives of the differently abled community to enter parliament.
The election office of Sarvajana Balaya's Colombo district leader Upali Jayasekara was inaugurated last evening in Homagama under the patronage of the alliance's leader Dilip Jayavira.
අපේ මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ එතුමා හැර පෞගේ අවුරුදු 50කට ආසන්න කාලේ කිසිම විපක්ෂ නායක කෙනෙක් මේ රටේ ජනාධිපති වුණේ නැහැ. ඒකට ප්‍රධාන හේතුව තමයි මේ විපක්ෂ නායකයාට කිසිම දැක්මක් තිබ්බේ නැහැ. ඉතින් අපි එඩිතර විපක්ෂයත් තුලින් අපි බලන්නේ දැක්මක් තියෙන පුද්ගලෙක් විපක්ෂ නායකයා හැටියට වාඩි කරන්න.
මේවර දේශපාලනය කරන්නේ අර පරණ පුරුදු පාරම්පරික දේශපාලනඥයින් නෙමෙයි.
This time traditional politicians will not be contesting. If we have chosen any such politician, we did so because they align with our philosophy. Intelligent, creative and rational individuals are seated here today. That is why we assert that we will work boldly in the parliament we create and it will not be a foolish one. We are even ready to stand with President Anura Dissanayake if he is planning to present a progressive plan for the country. However, if the president plans to destroy the country's civility or territorial integrity, our brave opposition will stand against it without fear.
රටේ භෞමික අඛණ්ඩතාවයට හානි වෙන යමක් හෝ අටවන්න සූදානම් වෙනවා නම් ඒකට විරුද්ධ වෙන්නත් අපි මේ එඩිතර විපක්ෂය ඕනෑම වෙලාවක එඩිතරව හිට ගන්නට සූදානම් බවත් මතක් කරන්නට ඕන.
Meanwhile, the members of the disabled community who will represent Sarvajana Balaya in the upcoming general election joined a press conference alongside the alliance leader Dilip Jayavira.
මේ ආබාධ සහිත ප්‍රජාව ජනතාව අභිප්‍රේරණය කළ හැකි ආබාධ සහිත ප්‍රජාවක් අපේ සමාජයේ ධෛර්යය පිළිබඳ උදාහරණයක් සපයන කොටසක්. ඉතින් මේ නියෝජනය තමයි අපි පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ගෙන එන්නේ.
Now, a petition has been filed with the Supreme Court requesting an order to reject the nomination of former Member of Parliament Ranjan Ramanayaka, who is contesting the upcoming general election from the Gampaha district under the United Democratic Voice Party. Now, the petition was submitted by Gampaha district independent candidate K.M. Mahinda Senanayaka, who seeks a ruling declaring that Ramanayaka does not have the right to obtain a parliamentary seat or a vote. The Election Commission and its members, Ranjan Ramanayaka and Gampaha District Returning Officer and several others have been named as respondents in the case.
Sri Lanka decides 2024.
And here's a look at some local news across Sri Lanka in brief.
During a joint raid conducted by the Excise Department and the Sri Lanka Navy Puttalam, 2,062 kilograms of tendo leaves that had been smuggled into the country were seized. The tax revenue loss due to the smuggling is approximately 13 million rupees. Meanwhile, the Deputy Inspector General of Police and Magistrate of Batticaloa had received anonymous letters informing that an attack might occur at the Batticaloa Court Complex on the 24th, 25th or 28th of this month. Accordingly, the Batticaloa Police and the Police Special Task Force conducted a search of the court complex this morning, but no suspicious materials were found in the premises. Police stated that further investigations would be conducted to discover the sender of the letters and that the security around and within the court complex would be tightened. In other local news, a demonstration took place in front of the Pamurugama police in Bopitiya Wattala last night, accusing the police of brutally assaulting two youths who were under police custody. The two youths were arrested yesterday under suspicion of stealing a gold necklace after breaking into a house in Bopitiya Wattala. The suspects are 20 and 24 years of age and are residents of Pamurugama and Settapadua respectively. During the demonstration, a tense situation arose between the protesters and the police. The officer in charge of the Dungalpitiya police station intervened to de-escalate the situation and the injured youths were admitted to the Ragama base hospital.
Polling for the Alpetiya Pradesh Sabha electorate is set to be held from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. tomorrow at 48 polling centres. 55,643 registered votes are eligible to cast votes for the local government body election. And the Alpetiya Pradesh Sabha election is being held tomorrow against a backdrop where elections for all other local government bodies have been postponed.
8 recognized political parties and an independent group are contesting the Alpetiya Pradesh Sabha election, in which 29 members will be elected to the local government body. 55,643 individuals have been registered as eligible voters, while polling is set to be conducted across 48 polling centres in the Alpetiya Pradesh Sabha. Polling will commence at 7 a.m. tomorrow and conclude at 4 p.m. The Election Commission noted that polling will be conducted by adhering to the 2018 electoral register. This morning, ballot boxes were transported from the Galle District Secretariat to all polling centres amidst tightened security. Polling will commence at 7 a.m. tomorrow and will conclude at 4 p.m. Accordingly, all contesting political parties and individual groups will appear on your ballot paper. Depending on which party or independent group you vote for, the candidate contesting from that party or independent group in the relevant electoral division will receive your vote. Thereby, the candidate who obtains the most votes from a particular division will be appointed as the MP of that division. Based on the number of votes secured by political parties and independent groups, the number of seats obtained by each party will be decided.
ස්වාධීන කණ්ඩායම් ලබා ගන්නා වූ ඡන්ද සංඛ්‍යාව මත පදනම් වෙලා ඔවුන්ට අදාළ මන්ත්‍රී දුර සංඛ්‍යාව තීරණය වෙනවා. ඒ අනුව අමතර ලැයිස්තුවෙන් ඉදිරිපත් කිරීම සිදු කිරීමට හැකියාව තිබෙනවා.
Accordingly, all polling centres are supplied with all requirements to conduct polling tomorrow.
Now, we take you to business news. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations handed over a multi-day fishing trawler which helps reduce post-harvest losses while lowering operational costs and improving the quality of fish for both local and export markets. With funding from the government of Norway, the initiative comes as a step towards enhancing resilience and sustainability in Sri Lanka's fisheries sector. The FAO said the initiative promotes the adoption of new technologies and is equipped with advanced cooling technology and a fuel-saving mechanism. According to FAO, Sri Lanka's multi-day fishing vessels, essential for deep-sea fishing, especially in the tuna export industry, often rely on ice to preserve fish during long voyages. However, this practice frequently compromises quality, leading to post-harvest losses. To address this challenge, FAO said it provided the new boat with technologies that help keep fish at optimal temperatures throughout the voyage, ensuring higher quality produce reaches the market while reducing waste and spoilage. And Colombo stocks closed higher today while the benchmark index crossed 12,517 points, up 44.08. The gains were driven primarily by capital goods and banking and finance sectors, while turnover rose over 95% today. John Keells Holdings, Commercial Bank, LOLC Holdings, DFCC and CTC led the day's gains. With improved participation from high net worth and institutional investors, turnover stood at 4.8 billion, a 95.1% increase from the monthly average of 2.4 billion. Off-board transactions contributed 44.9% to the overall turnover. The banking sector led turnover by 58%, followed by the capital goods sector and materials sectors, jointly contributing 24% to overall turnover. Foreign investors remain net sellers, while net outflow of 186.4 million, with total foreign outflow for the week stood at 179.6 million. And that's it from us here tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow at the same time. Good night.